We have surpassed another grim milestone. 75,000 Americans have died from this virus in just over 2 months. And the news today, unfortunately, hammers home another grim reality. As President Trump pushes for the country to reopen, our federal government isn't ready or perhaps isn't willing to take on the responsibility for the opening and for what could happen, even if the dangers are obvious. Most states that are beginning to reopen are not following the White House's suggested guidelines that they put out over 2 weeks ago to safely do so. The number of cases outside the New York epicenter is not declining, and as I mentioned, the death toll continues to climb, and it's only projected to get worse as states ease restrictions. Testing is still far short of what experts say is needed, and it's nowhere remotely near the 5 million tests per day that some believe is necessary. And even President Trump initially said last week, hey, that would be happening soon, before literally walking it back 24 hours later. Bottom line, it's hard to see how the country at least confidently reopens in this climate, considering all the confusion coming out of the federal government. And then today, the White House confirmed it has basically shelved CDC guidelines that are intended to, by the way, boost confidence because they help schools, restaurants, religious institutions, and mass transit systems to safely open. And if you can tell your customers you're following CDC guidelines, that matters. That means something. Unless you water down the CDC. And administration officials tell NBC News the White House views the CDC guidelines as too strict, and that's why they sent it essentially back to the CDC to revise them. So we are watering down the initial CDC decision. But this comes as the White House's own safeguards to protect the president apparently broke down. A person close to the White House tells NBC News that President Trump was lava-level mad after learning that one of his personal valets, working in close proximity to him without a mask, mind you, had tested positive. The White House says that both the president and vice president have since tested negative. And then, of course, there's the economic calamity. That continues, and it ratchets up pressure on the federal government even more not to botch this reopening process, because here we have 3 more million people filing for unemployment insurance today, essentially this week, bringing now the 7-week total to 33.5 million people. Represents roughly 20% of the labor force. We're talking about Great Depression levels of unemployment. Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor, subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Meet the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.